I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to consciously control your desires so that your desires don't control you. Because unless you get this right, you will be manipulated and controlled, not by anything essentially outside of you, but your own unwillingness to own the fact that you are a conscious creator of your reality. Let's talk about that in this video. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do, and I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do actually post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, the only way to do so is by booking in a single session. You can book that by hitting the link that's in the description box of this video. It's also going to be in the comments of this video as well. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you in this video, in terms of how to consciously control your desires so that your desires don't control you, is to number one, understand that no matter what, you will always have desires. You will always have desires. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are, how enlightened you think you are, how much you've transcended your desires. And I'm going to talk about what transcendence actually is in a moment here in this video, because transcendence is completely different to what most people actually believe. And I know that sounds arrogant, but I'm just coming from my own personal insight and experiences. I will never share anything with you in these videos unless it comes from my personal insight. And if it's something that I received from the outside, I will only speak of it if it resonates for me and comes from my own personal I validated it for myself in my direct experience. Anyways, we'll get to transcendence in a moment here because I think it's important to talk about. But I believe, and this is just my experience, no matter what happens, you're gonna want something, because energy never gets created, nor does it get destroyed. It only moves. You can only shift from one version of yourself to another version of yourself. So if you achieve one thing, there's going to be something else you're going to want to shift into. And you might think like, well, that sounds like an endless chase of ego chasing. That it is the case if you're not in control of the energy in your life. You see, when you're unconsciously moving through life and your desires are controlling you, you're letting your feelings control you rather than you being in control of your feelings are in control of you, then that is the endless ego chase. That is the, I want the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, but you never have the sense of completion and groundness because you're just a feather in the wind. You're a flying bag in the wind. When you don't control your desires, your feelings are controlling you left and right, and you have no sense of concentration, no sense of focus. And that's happening because the feelings are controlling you. So when we begin to realize that no matter what happens in your life, we're going to have to choose to go in a certain direction. You can choose not to go in a certain direction, but although you want to consider that is also a choice. And I'm going to be talking about that in my book soon, coming out in the next 2 months around that time, that explains that it is a choice. To not make a choice and to stay stuck and to not own your desires and to let your desires control you is a choice. Although, of course, in that state of consciousness, most people, you will not, and I'm included in this with you, you will not agree that it is a choice. You will play victim. You will blame. You will criticize. You will tell people why they are the reason why you don't have what you want. Why they are the reason why you're in poverty consciousness. Why they are the reason why you don't have what you want. Why they are the reason why you don't feel how you want to feel. That's what you'll do when you're fragmented in poverty consciousness. You will blame. You will judge. You will criticize. You will push. You will tell people why they are wrong. You will tell people why they are the problem. Anyways, what you want to consider here is that no matter what, you're going to have desires. You're going to want something. And either you're going to be in control of that process, or that process will be in control of you. Now, who am I talking about when I say you? See, what I'm sharing with you here is transcendence of the ego construct. Because the ego that believes that it is completely in control of everything, that is the limited ego construct. Now, when I say you want to be in control of desires, really what I'm pointing to is your true self. But interestingly enough though, there's no difference anymore between the ego construct and who you really are when I'm talking about this. So it's very powerful to realize that no matter what, you're going to have control, you're going to have desires. But don't think about it like this. If no matter what, you're going to have desires, wouldn't you want to be in control of that process? Don't you want to be in control of the process? Or do you want to be manipulated by your own mind? And I really like, I'm just going to acknowledge myself for saying it in that way, because you know what's funny is that when I say manipulated by your own mind, notice how I didn't say manipulated by people. I didn't say manipulated by people. Yes, people will manipulate you if you let your own mind manipulate you. If you don't have control of your mind, people will manipulate you as a result of you not taking control of your own mind and desires. And you will attract people and situations that are also a reflection of that same type of energy, whether they realize it or not. That's, you're going to be both playing this game together, where you're both in this sham of convincing yourselves that you have to let your desires control you. That's what you'll do. And it's the ultimate sham. It's the ultimate sham. The reason I'm saying sham is because it is a sham. You're going to play this game of convincing yourself that your desires are controlling you and that people are controlling you until one day you say, you know what, I'm going to take back my power. The question is, how long? How long are you going to let your feelings control you until you realize that the one thing you truly have choice over in this existence is your attention and consciously controlling your feelings and your desires? There's nothing else that you essentially have control over. You cannot really control people. You cannot. The only free will choice you have is your feelings. You cannot really like at some point you're gonna realize that you cannot control anything really ultimately other than your own attention. You can only control what you pay attention to, what you're paying attention to. Why is it called paying attention? Because when you're giving something attention, that's your currency. Your attention is your currency. Your attention is your currency. The highest form of currency that you have in this existence is your attention. It's your attention. And I believe that ultimately speaking, and I'm going to be going much deeper into this topic in depth in my book that is coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. How ultimately speaking, the only thing that you really have control over is your attention. Is your attention. What else do you have control over? If you try to control and manipulate the external world and you lose yourself in your desires, see, I'm not saying that desire is bad. I'm not saying that desire is bad. I'm saying to let your consciousness get sucked into the desire where you're not consciously navigating your space anymore. That's the problem. That's the problem. That is the issue. That's the problem. The problem is when you lose yourself in the desire. If you lose yourself in the desire, this is when you manifest all types of situations that are undesirable. What a paradox, right? Now, when you're letting yourself lose yourself in the desire, it becomes something you don't actually desire. You think you want that. You may convince yourself you want that, yet it's going to be too much for you to handle, and then you'll swing back into the direction and you'll judge yourself and you'll criticize yourself, and it'll be a back and forth game of pushing too hard and then falling back, and then pushing too hard and then falling back, and then pushing too hard and then falling back, and then pushing too hard and then falling back. Now, what I just said is, dude, look, why are you saying it like that? And I'm saying that because that's the truth. That's the truth. That's what your life is going to be unless you consciously control your desires. You have to be in the middle path. If you push too hard, you're going to feel resistance. If you don't push at all, you're going to feel resistance. How do you solve this problem? How do you solve this problem? I'm telling you right now. You have to take conscious control of your attention. You have to master your attention. If you don't master your consciousness will master you. If you do not master life, life will master you. That's the truth. I'm telling you the truth here. I know that sounds arrogant. I know I sound like a know-it-all, but I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to tell you the inevitable path of your existence unless you take on what I'm saying. Unless you understand that your consciousness creates your reality, you will get sucked into an infinite, endless abyss of feeling powerless. That's what's going to happen. And that's where most people go down, because they're not willing to take responsibility for their life. Now, the second thing that I want to share with you in this video, in terms of how to consciously control your desires so that your desires don't control you, is to understand that transcendence, and I don't know who else, I've not heard anybody talk about this in this particular way. I know that sounds arrogant, and I'm going to own it fully right now, because I'm just going to own it. It is arrogant, because it's the truth. And I'm going to share with you something that I've never heard anybody talk about in this way in particular, which is that transcendence equals integration. Oftentimes people talk about transcendence, go into the higher realms, transcendence. I mean, I'm gonna transcend like my desire for sex, for example. Transcend your desire for sex, or transcend your desire for food, or transcend. And people think that's spiritual. Now, in a way, it is. Like you do want to not recreate patterns of suffering for yourself and others. Of course, that is the ultimate goal of consciousness. Consciousness is playing out all these infinite scenarios so that it doesn't recreate the same problems, and ultimately you want to transcend the behaviors that are low vibrational. But of course, low vibrational behaviors are only low vibrational relative to a different experience that consciousness realized is a perceived of higher vibration in comparison to that low vibration. So it's relative to each vibration. So how do you really transcend anything? It is to fully experience it, and then fully experience the next thing, and then see in contrast what is more desirable, what is more in alignment, and then to fully own that, to own it as a part of yourself, as a part of you, that's you. Now, simultaneously, there's a consciousness that it is not you and that you are consciousness, of course. I mean, to me, that's obvious. I don't know if it's obvious to other people, but transcendence equals integration. So, for example, the way that you truly transcend any desire is to consciously step into it with zero judgment, and to see what it's like. And either you enjoy it or you don't enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then you decide that is not who I want to be, and then you let it go. If you do enjoy it, then you can stay there for a while. And ultimately, that's what it means to transcend something. Why is that transcending though? Because transcendence is to be conscious of a pattern, but not be lost in it. See, if you're going after a desire, but there is no sense of who you really are, and you lose yourself in the desire, you're going to play that for infinity. You'll never complete that desire. You'll never complete that lesson. You'll never complete and transcend that lesson. You won't be able to get to the point where you're like, oh yeah, I've already been there. I've already explored that space. I don't like that anymore, and it's just not my preference. But how are you going to get to that point unless you consciously shift into a desire? What most people don't understand, I believe, is that your desire is your compass. Your desire is your compass. If you don't consciously use your desire as a navigating force of your compass of life, and you decide to convince yourself somehow that desire is wrong and bad, and you judge the desire, you will stay stuck in the current reality. But let me ask you this, how did you even get in that current reality? You desired to go there at some point. It was a desire. Consciousness desired for you to go where you are now. The only reason you're alive now and in this space now is because at some point, consciousness had a desire to become that. And here you are. And now you're there and you've made it. At some point, you were like, oh, I really wanted to do that. And then you made it. Think about it. Right now, what you're embodying in your life, you decided at some point, maybe you even forgot. You wanted that. You made it. Congratulations. You manifested it. But now there's something else that maybe you want. And are you going to convince yourself that that's bad? Well, if it's bad, well, then why did you want something else? And if it's so bad to want something, you wouldn't even be where you are now if you didn't have a desire to be in existence. The reason you exist is because you had a desire to exist. You exist because you desire to exist. You're existing right now because consciousness has a desire to exist as you right now. You wouldn't be here right now if you didn't desire it. If you have a desire not to have desires, that is the desire. Right? So there's no escaping life. There's no escaping desire. The question is, how consciously are you going to be there? How consciously are you going to navigate this space of endless desire and infinite desire? Life is infinite desire, infinite love. Either you can decide to consciously take that on or resist it and pretend that it's not the case. Now, if you pretend that it's not the case, that's fine. That's your choice. I can't make a choice, for you. I can't decide for you that you're doing something wrong. If that's your desire and choice to believe that desire is bad, then so be it. Your wish is your command. Your wish is your command. So be it. Desire is bad. I'm going to judge myself, and that's wrong. The universe will unconditionally love you for that. No problem, other than whatever problem you create for yourself as a result of that belief. So, integration is the true transcendence, is what I'm trying to say. You truly want to transcend anything in your life that perhaps you believe is bad or wrong for existing, integrate it. Consciously do it. Consciously do it. Don't just do it like a madman in some ego, oh my gosh, just getting sucked into everything. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying do it with a certain level of ease, a certain level of composure, a certain level of being connected to yourself. Do it with a certain level of connectedness to your source. Do it fully, completely do it, but don't lose yourself in it. That's true transcendence. You're not going to transcend anything in your life unless you do that. I'm telling you right now, that's the only way. And if you don't believe me, then go figure it out for yourself. And that's okay. I don't mean that in like a negative way. You might have to go do that. Sometimes we have to go learn certain lessons in order to transcend them. But you can either go through that process consciously and wisely with awareness, or you can do it unconsciously. Now, if you do it unconsciously, I would argue that you're not really going to be learning anything at all, because you're just going to be like a flying bag in the wind. And you're not going to have enough consciousness to see and capacity to realize what it is that you're desiring truly from your heart and what you believe that you desire because of some unconsciousness. So, the third thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand that you don't need to do anything, but this is what I highly invite and encourage you to do to find peace in your life and to really ground into the reality you truly want and to keep it there for as long as you want it, is to control your desires or they will control you. I hope that's abundantly clear and obvious at this point, that's what I'm trying to communicate here to you. See, if you don't control every single desire in your life, everything that can exist in life, any possible thing that can exist. It will control you. If you don't control and discipline yourself to be who you want to be, then you're just going to be a flying bag in the wind and be a vibrational match to other versions and reflections of you, other people that exist, of course, but these other people are reflections of you, and they will simply be, you're just going to be in a co-creative reality where you suffer, you believe you have to suffer, and then you play a game with other people that also believe they have to suffer with you. Oftentimes what you feel, other people feel. So if you feel resistance, if you feel negativity, if you feel like you have to be in an environment that you don't want to be in, other people also feel that, whether they realize it or not. Whether they're willing to own up to it or not. Let me give you an example to practically ground that. If you're in a job that you really don't want to be there, it's like, God, I just feel so much resistance. I really don't want to be here. Like, why am I here? And you believe that the other person doesn't feel that, you're delusional. Of course. I don't mean that like in an attacking way. I'm just like, we've all been there in some way, shape, or form. But what's happening is that person also doesn't want you there. You know? Like here's the thing. Like, if you, for example, my YouTube audience, if you don't want to watch this video, I don't want you to watch this video. If you don't want to watch my video, I encourage you to click off this video. If you're not resonating with what I'm saying, then turn off the video. I've explored consciousness enough, I know that sounds arrogant, to understand that if I am in a vibrational frequency and I truly want something, I only want other people and situations to also match that frequency. And if I'm in a frequency that I don't want to be somewhere, I don't want to be there, the other person also doesn't want to be there. People ultimately feel what you feel. Why am I sharing this? Because it's about owning how you actually feel. If you don't feel like you're a vibrational match to a certain person, a certain environment, that person doesn't want you there either, whether they are willing to admit to it or not. Even if they don't admit to it. Even if they pretend like they don't care. Even if they pretend like they want you there. They don't. They're just scared to own it, just like you are. Does that make sense? Because you're scared to say that you don't want to be there. They're also scared to say they don't want to be there. You're both playing this sham. When does the sham end? Let me ask you, when does that sham end? When does that game end? The game of pretending to be something that you don't want to be. The game of letting a desire control you. The game of something is controlling you, but really nothing's controlling you. You're letting yourself be controlled because you're giving away your power and your consciousness to a situation that you believe you have to participate in, that you don't have to participate in, but you've convinced yourself you have to. When does that end? It ends when you decide that you are responsible for the energy in your life. When you are responsible for your life. That's when it ends. And what will end will actually be a new beginning for the reality you truly want. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video. It's also going to be in the comments of this video as well. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.